Hey guys, Mr. R here, and today I'm going to share a story to help you with rounding. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to share a story that just sounds completely crazy, and then I'll show you how it applies to math. If you need to pause it or rewind at any point, you go ahead and do that. Alright, so our story starts with some people going to Vegas, baby. And they're all lined up at the airport. They're getting excited. They cannot wait to go to Vegas. But all of a sudden they start to smell something a little stinky. Somebody cut the cheese. And we've all been there in a group of people when you smell that somebody cut the cheese and everybody starts pointing fingers at each other and blaming. You did it. No, you did it. And you start hearing, oh, she who smelt it dealt it. And they start arguing. Except you can't be arguing and making a scene in the airport. If you do that, the cops are definitely going to show up. So all these people are screaming and yelling, blaming each other for cutting the cheese, and the cops show up at the airport. And eventually, one person gets singled out. You did it. You cut the cheese. And that one person, when they get blamed, always loses it. So that person loses it, starts screaming at the cop, gets a little out of hand, even puts their hand on the cop. And you know good and well, you can't just walk up and smack a cop. If you do that, you are going to get arrested. So the cops put the handcuffs on that person and arrest them. But when they put those handcuffs on, they put them on a little too tight. And that person cuts the cheese. And it's a bad one. And all the people behind him start to get knocked out, get a little woozy. So the cops go up to the person behind, the one person who got the worst of the cheese cutting. Cop goes up to that person behind him and says, if you're 5 or older, I'll let you get some revenge. And hit him in the head one time. And then all the people who were in front, well, they're okay. They don't get knocked out because they didn't get the cheese cut on them, but they have to come to court as witnesses to share what happened. Now that sounds crazy, so let me show you how this applies to rounding. Right here we have round 387 to the nearest 10. Well, these numbers written here are the numbers that are in line getting ready to go to Vegas. And then they start to smell something and they start blaming each other. But the problem tells us the one person that gets singled out and blamed for it. They say the person on 10th Street. So we go to 10th Street and circle up that digit. And that's kind of like putting the handcuffs on. So we circle that 8, put the handcuffs on them. But those handcuffs are a little too tight and cuts the cheese. So we draw particles. So on your paper, you will be putting little dots. Sound like this. Putting dots on all the digits behind it. Well, all the digits behind the 8 are going to get knocked out. But the cop goes up to the digit who got the worst of it, right behind the 8, which is 7, and says, if you're 5 or older, you can punch him one time in the head. Well, 7 is older than 5. So you put the one punch up top. So 7's going to get knocked out and become a 0. And you add these numbers. 8 plus 1 is 9. And nothing happened to the 3. 3's just going to come as a witness. So your answer when you round would be 390. The numbers behind get knocked out. Out starts with O. O looks similar to 0. If you punch in the head, you add those numbers up. 8 plus 1 is 9. And the numbers in front come as a witness. I'll show you one more with the story. Round 283 to the nearest 10. So 283, those are the numbers lined up going to Vegas, baby. Who is going to get blamed for cutting the cheese? The digit on 10th Street. So circle them up, put those handcuffs on. Once you have the handcuffs on, going to cut the cheese. and draw those particles. So the cop goes up to the digit who got the worst of it, which would be that 3. And the cop says, if you're 5 or older, you can hit him 1 time. Well, 3 is not older than 5, so 3 is going to get knocked out. Nothing happened to 8, so it's going to stay the same. And the numbers in front, this time it's just a 2, will come as a witness. So 283 to the nearest 10 is 280.